I went through all the circulars of Union Bank for compiling this video. Here is one unique thing I found in one of the circulars which is nowhere there on the internet, not even on the Union Bank website. It is called as step-up repayment. If you're going to a Premier Institute for Masters abroad, you can get up to 40 lakhs without collateral. Please note that the Premier scheme, even if your institute falls in the list, it is only applicable for Masters and postgraduate programs, and it doesn't consider if you're going for a loan without collateral. The education loan interest rate is EBLR plus 0.5%, which means it is Hello all, this is Damini, co-founder of WeMakeScholars, and I welcome you to the 48th episode of our web series LoanFlix Season 2. So in this video, I'll be giving you the information of all education loan schemes of Union Bank of India. So I'll start with giving you the brief and the names of all different schemes, and then in detail I'll talk about the abroad education loan schemes particularly. And all the information which I'm going to share in this video is nowhere available online. Even the official website of Union Bank of India doesn't say the scheme details in such a clear-cut way. So when I make these videos, I compile the information directly from the circulars, the internal circulars of the bank on the education loan schemes. So some of this information which I'm going to share, even the branch managers will not be aware of. So this is going to be the most accurate information for you in such an easy way. So let's start this video, but before that, two important things. Number one, we have already made some detailed videos in season 1, for example, our 4th episode wherein we spoke about collateral documents in detail, and then we have our 41st episode wherein we spoke about co-applicant requirements in details. So all those details and information is also important for you when you are applying for your education loan in Union Bank of India. But I'm not going to get to that much detail in this video because it's already very lengthy when it comes to, the whole scheme information and everything. So do watch those videos separately. I'm leaving the links in the description. Now the second thing is, many of you people who are watching this video today may not be aware of what is WeMakeScholars and what is LoanFlix. So here you go. LoanFlix is a web series which covers each and every detail of an education loan process, right from the eligibility process, sanctioning, disbursement, repayment, everything. And LoanFlix is an initiative of WeMakeScholars. WeMakeScholars is an organization which is funded and supported by the Ministry of IT, Govt of India, and its sole purpose is to help students like you get an education loan for your higher studies. And all the services of WeMakeScholars are completely free of cost. So you can reach out to our team for help with your education loan without any second thoughts. I'm leaving the link in the description through which you can get in touch with us. So now let's start. Union Bank of India has 7 education loan schemes. The first one is Union Bank Inland Studies, which is, as the name suggests, is for domestic education for studies in India. The second one we have is Union Medicos, which is for premier medical colleges in India for courses related to like MBBS or MD, etc. Then we have Union Bank Tier 1, Tier 2 scheme, which is for premier institutes like IITs, NITs, IIMs and other technical and management premier institutes. And then we have Union Bank Skill Development Loan Scheme, which is for shorter skill development courses. Now these 4 schemes are primarily for inland studies, as in domestic studies. Now after these 4, we have 2 schemes for abroad studies, which is one is Union Bank Study Abroad, which is the general education loan for study abroad scheme. And then we have Union Premier Abroad, which is for premier colleges abroad, like top 200 institutes globally. And after these 2 abroad schemes, we have one scheme which is common for domestic as well as abroad. It is called as UKSS, Union Kisan Shiksha Suvidha, which is for students who are coming from, families where majority of the income comes from farming, like more than 50% income comes from farming. So now, in the scope of this video, I'll be talking in detail about the 2 abroad schemes, like the study abroad and the premier abroad scheme. Regarding the India schemes, I will make a separate video which will go in my LoanFlix India playlist. The link to the India playlist is also given in the description. And about the UKSS, which is the farming family, students loan. So for that, I have already made 2 videos on agricultural land loans. The link to the same is given above. So even the Union Bank scheme was covered in that video. So do watch that. Now let's start with the study abroad schemes. So now I'll parallelly explain you the scheme details and terms of both the schemes, like for the Premier Institute versus the other institutes. Now, as I mentioned, there are about 200 institutes which are there in the top institute list for the Premier product. Now, this list was compiled by the WeMakeScholars team, and to make this list, we didn't go by one single ranking body. We actually checked like 3-4 different ranking bodies to come up with the top 200. So now if you want to know whether your institute is there in the top 200 or not, for that you have to talk to your financial officer. If you haven't been assigned a financial officer yet, you can request a callback using the link mentioned in the description. Now, after talking to your financial officer, if you come to know that your university is not there in the list, but you believe that it deserves to be there, then also you can let your financial officer know, and I will personally check that university criteria, and I'll evaluate that, and we'll get it added into the Union Bank list if it has to be. Now let's discuss the features of each of these products for the Premier institutes versus the other institutes. Coming to the acceptable programs, please note that the Premier scheme, even if your institute falls in the list, it is only applicable for masters and postgraduate programs, and it doesn't consider the undergraduate programs. Whereas the regular scheme considers all kinds of programs, whether it's UG, PG, masters, MBA, PG diploma, anything, or even PhD. Coming to the loan amount, if you're going to a Premier Institute for masters abroad, you can get up to 40 lakhs without collateral. Now, if 40 lakhs is not enough and you need an amount higher than that, then you have to put 50% collateral. So for example, if you need 60 lakh rupees, you will have to put a collateral of 30 lakh rupees. Now, there is no upper limit on the loan amount. It clearly depends on your collateral value. And if your college or university is not in the Premier list, in that case, you will have to put a collateral for any amount above 7.5 lakhs. Again, there is no upper limit on the loan amount. It depends on the collateral value. Now, whatever may be your loan amount, Union Bank of India insists on utilizing at least 20% of your loan amount after the loan is sanctioned. Otherwise, some strict action might be taken against you, and it might affect your credit score as well. Coming to the accepted collaterals, there are two kinds of collaterals which are accepted by the Union Bank of India. Number one is immovable properties like house, flat, land and commercial properties. Number two is liquid securities like FDs, insurance policies and government bonds. Now, to understand the calculation between the collateral value to the equivalent loan amount, you will have to talk to your WeMakeScholars financial officer. The rate of interest in all banks is defined with a base rate. In Union Bank, this base rate is called as EBLR, which is External Benchmark Lending Rate. Now, the EBLR of the bank means the minimum interest rate they can lend at. As of today, Union Bank's EBLR is 9.3%. Please understand that EBLR changes every month. So by the time you're watching this video, EBLR may be higher or lower than 9.3%. That's why you should talk to your financial officer to understand the current interest rates at any point in time, so that you can make a good comparison between different banks. Now, coming to the Premier Institute's education loan scheme, if you're going for a loan without collateral, the education loan interest rate is EBLR plus 0.5%, which means it is 9.8% as of today. And if you're going to Premier Institute but for a loan with collateral, then your interest rate is going to be EBLR directly, which is 9.3%. Now, these are the lowest interest rates possible for the education loan abroad. Now, if you're going to a non-Premier Institute, the education loan interest rate is EBLR plus 2.1%. which means it is 11.4% as of today. Now, on top of this interest rate, if you are a female student, you will get a concession of 0.5%, which means your interest rate will come down from 11.4 to 10.9%. Now, you can avail another 1% concession on this non-Premier University interest rate if you pay your full simple interest during moratorium. So, the interest rate will fall down another 1%. Now, these are the interest rates as on today, and as I mentioned, it might change when you're watching this video because the EBLR is fluctuating. And if you have any doubts, because all these terms are a little confusing, so if you're not able to understand any of these terms, feel free to put it in the comments below and I'll definitely answer all your questions. Coming to when do you have to start repaying, in all education loans, you have a grace period called as moratorium period or repayment holiday. So in Union Bank, you get 1 year of grace period wherein, after your course, you have 1 year of time to find the job and then you start your repayment. And once you start your repayment, you have 15 years to repay. The processing fee of Union Bank is 5,000 rupees, which is completely refundable if you take a disbursement within 3 months. And please understand that you won't get any refund if you get a sanction and you never utilize your education loan. Now, on top of this processing fee, you will also have to bear the legal report and valuation charges for your property, which is common in any collateralized loan. And these charges come around 8,000 to 10,000 rupees, which is standard. And these charges will not be there if your collateral is not a property, instead if it is a FD or LIC policy, etc. Now, another thing which you need to know is that the processing fee which I just mentioned is bank's processing fee, not of WeMakeScholars. I'm repeating again, WeMakeScholars doesn't charge you any fee and all its services are completely free. So you can talk to your financial officer without any second thoughts. Union Bank doesn't offer you 100% education loan on your total expenses. Your total expenses includes your tuition fee, your living expenses, your health insurance, flight tickets, etc. So all the expenses, whatever the total comes to, the Union Bank can offer you a maximum of 85% of that in both the premier and the non-premier category. And lastly, you also need a co-applicant for availing an education loan from Union Bank of India. Primarily accepted co-applicants are your parents, spouse, parents-in-law. But if none of them has a regular source of income, then you can also add your siblings or cousins to make your profile stronger. I hope all the scheme terms and conditions are clear. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments section and I'll definitely get back to you. As I told you at the start of this video that I went through all the circulars of Union Bank for compiling this video, here is one unique thing I found in one of the circulars which is nowhere there on the internet, not even on the Union Bank website. It is called a step-up repayment. So what happens in step-up repayment is that, in other banks, let's say when your repayment period get started, they check your outstanding amount and then they divide the amount over your repayment tenure and you get an EMI which is constant throughout. But in Union Bank, in the step-up repayment policy, what they do is that, when a student, of course, they understand that when a student gets the first job, the salary is not as high as what it will be, let's say, 3 years later. So they allow you to pay lower EMI for the first 3 years and then it gets, spiked up to the regular EMI. Isn't it an awesome feature? But I really doubt if your Union Bank branch will be aware of it. So that's why don't struggle in explaining all this to your bank branch. Instead, apply via WeMakeScholars so that we can handle this shit on your behalf. Anyways, you have nothing to lose because we don't charge you anything. I hope this exclusive video on Union Bank education loan schemes was useful. I covered all the important details of their abroad education loan scheme, and I believe this information will give you a clear understanding when you're weighing your loan options. My last 5 years at WeMakeScholars has taught me one thing, that every loan application is different and it has its own complexities. So it is always advisable to have some hand-holding when you're going through this phase of your study abroad. WeMakeScholars team plays a vital role as a mentor in this process. So do apply for your loan via WeMakeScholars through the link in the description and you will be getting the much needed guidance at no cost. And finally, if you found this information useful, do like this video and share it with your friends and colleagues, and do subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any such videos in future. Bye-bye.